In this video, we will learn how to navigate the viewports via panning, zooming, and rotating. But 2 items to note. The ortho viewports can only pan and zoom, while the perspective viewport can do all 3, panning, zooming, and rotating. Secondly, you're going to find these navigation skills surprisingly important. Since the interface can only show you a 2D view of your 3D model, it's critical to visualize how your design will look in the real world. I found the best way to visualize my work is to spend a lot of time in perspective, have it maximized, and be constantly moving around. So a lot of these commands you'll find in multiple locations like usual. We'll start off with here at the top. Here is your view. There's pan, zoom, and rotate, along with keyboard shortcuts, which will be very handy. You'll probably want to start using those pretty soon. Next up is under the viewport label. So all of these have little pull-down triangles. And there's your pan, zoom, and rotate, again with keyboard shortcuts. We're on the standard toolbar here. There's pan, rotate, and zoom as well. But we're going to go to the set view. There's some more options here. Let's start off with some panning. So this is your basic side-to-side motion or scrolling. So I'm going to start off with an ortho view here. So I'm just going to right-click the mouse, and you get the hand. So you can do that, or click the button itself. And when you're perspective, it actually just rotates it. Next up, we'll do some zooming. So I'm going to click the zoom button. You can zoom in or out. Now, in perspective, I'm trying something a little bit different. I'm using the scroll wheel on the mouse. Most mice have that, so that's pretty handy to zoom in or out. So you're going to do a lot of panning, a lot of zooming, back and forth quite a bit. Now, for rotating, I already talked about this in perspective. It works great just with the right mouse button or using the rotate view. But you can run into problems. This probably happens accidentally, but it can be confusing. So if I use those keyboard shortcuts we just saw, Control, Shift, and right mouse button, I have now kind of messed up what's supposed to be an ortho view, which we're now seeing in perspective, but you definitely don't want to work this way. It can actually be rotated just a couple degrees, and you wouldn't even notice. You might end up doing some work that's out of alignment and then have to come back later and fix that. So let me show you how to get these back straight and square. I'm going to right-click on the viewport label, set view, and then we're going to pick the exact same name that we've started with, which is right, and it just fixes it back square. I'm going to maximize my perspective window here. Double-click, zoom out a bit. This is a common problem with a lot of people. As you do a lot of panning and zooming, you'll end up with something that's kind of off the screen here. So when I try to rotate, it's barely coming in. So there's a little fix for that. We can just pick one of the items. Doesn't matter. And then we hit this zoom selected option. So that'll instantly fill our screen, which is very handy. But the best part about this is when we start rotating again, that's our new center of rotation. So it fixes 2 things at once. Finally, let's go back to all 4 viewports. And if we had a similar problem with multiple viewports, we can do what's called the zoom extents. So that's right here. So we can left-click to zoom the current viewport, which is perspective. But if we right-click, it's going to fix all 4 viewports. I'm going to go back to perspective one more time by double-clicking here. I'm going to show you a command that may seem kind of more like a game, but it's actually fairly useful. So it's called the turntable. So I'm going to just do a quick little demo here. You're going to click on this little spiral, so you can change the speed and the direction of the rotation. And it'll just keep going for as long as you let it until you hit the stop button here. Just a little heads up, if you have a lot of different peripherals plugged in, you may have a driver conflict. This could actually not spin accurately. It could spiral out of control. That doesn't happen that often, but I have seen it a few times, so just beware. So in conclusion, the sooner you can master the basic viewport navigation skills, the sooner you'll be more comfortable with the software and productive with your work. Remember, all 3 navigation commands are implemented via the right mouse button, either alone or with Control and Shift.